Hello, everybody on YouTube. Welcome. Nice to see you. To see you, nice. Yeah, sorry. The time was a little bit random today because yeah, I changed time zones, and when I set it in English time, and yeah, it got all a bit muddled. But anyway, yeah, and then I had some problems, but that's beside the point. So nice, welcome. And the title of the talk today is called, just let me find it. The title is called Spiritual Awakening. Spiritual Awakening, how to relate to thoughts without getting lost. So Spiritual Awakening, how to relate to thoughts without getting lost. Oh, nice. Just make sure everyone in Zoom can hear me. I haven't muted myself or something in Zoom. Yep, you can all hear me. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, just a bit of a disclaimer before we start. Yeah, if you're in Zoom, if you could just make sure that you're muted, I would appreciate that. But yeah, so before we start, yeah, just a bit of a disclaimer that this isn't therapy, and I'm not a therapist. And I know that that really confuses a lot of people when I say that. They're like, what's she talking about? What's the distinction? And the main distinction is that a therapist is going to help you with your story. So a therapist will work with you in your story and help you in your story. So I'll give an example of that. So say if you're having a lot of chaos in your relationship and difficulty in your intimate relationship, you can go to a therapist and you can look at that relationship. You can look at your reactions to that relationship. You can actually look at the functioning and the health of that relationship. You can look at childhood and your childhood experiences and how that relates to the relationship. And that is what's called helping within the story. Now, non-duality can do that, but that's a side effect. That's not actually the purpose of it. So yeah, so therapy is also there's all different types of therapies out there, and they help with the body mind and they help in the story of your life. And I'm not against that. I'm actually very pro it, specifically somatic therapy. I'm really big fan of body work therapy. And if you want to find therapists that know about non-duality, you can find that on my website under the reference page. I have lists of them, the ones that I know of that have come to talks, or there's a reference page that I found online. Yeah, ones that people send me. And non-duality is actually about going beyond the story. In the process of going beyond the story, it can help in the story. So often, in order to go beyond the story, you have to settle the story down. Not all the time. There's so many exceptions in this. But often there has to be a settling of the body-mind of the story. And in working out the attachments to the body-mind mechanism, you often look at what's happened in the story. But the goal is different from therapy. The goal is not to fix you in order to fit back in with your life. The goal is to go beyond the story of you. And that's radically different. So, yeah, that's the disclaimer. So, and when you're awakening, you might have different times in the story where you want more help in the story, and then times where you want to go beyond it. And neither are right or wrong. And it's like the perfect path for you, whatever appears. And what is the point or the purpose of going beyond the story? So the purpose of going beyond the story is a total freedom from the story. So in the timeline, there's always one thing after the other. There's always things that you have to deal with. You'll get things, you'll love them, you'll stop loving them, you'll enjoy them, you'll not enjoy them, you'll be afraid of them. There'll be all types of experiences in the story. And that's not wrong. That's not a bad thing. But this is about going beyond the story. It's death, really. It's a form of dying to something. It's a recognition of yourself beyond anything that happens in time and in the flow. Yummy. Yummy. And it's really radical, and it's not something that Lisa Cairns made up. This isn't like Lisa Cairns TM? What's the trademark? You know, like the trademark thing, like this is Lisa's teaching. This is a teaching that has been taught for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it's been passed down from guru to disciple, guru to disciple, guru to disciple. And I don't call myself a guru. It feels like outside of my culture. However, I did have a guru. And I often call him a teacher, but he actually likes to be called a guru. And not likes, like, we have such the wrong idea of the word guru. It's such a beautiful thing when really understood. It can become abusive when not properly understood, but it's such a beautiful thing. And he likes to, he was happy to be called by that name because it's a beautiful name, the Dispeller of Darkness. Yeah, and my guru was Roger Castillo, and his guru, where I actually met Roger Castillo, was Ramesh Balsekar. So I was visiting Ramesh Balsekar in Mumbai, and I met Roger randomly at Osho Ashram, not at Ramesh's. And yeah. So, and it was the most profound and beautiful thing. And I'm so eternally grateful, even though there's not really someone or something to be grateful for than self. Yeah. And it's not Roger's teachings. Roger's guru was Ramesh Balsekar. Ramesh Balsekar's guru was Nisargadatta Maharaj. And Nisargadatta Maharaj's guru was... Lisa doesn't know the name. This endless succession, which is it's such a beautiful representation of this message, because it never starts at anyone. Like, where does information or knowledge or this energy of awakening start? In a way, it goes back through everything, right to the very beginning of time. Like, you can never find the beginning of it. Not Ramesh's teachings, not Nisargadatta's teachings, not Roger's teachings, not Lisa's teachings. Because whose would they be? How could they be my teachings? Yeah. So, here we go. Spiritualating, how to relate to thought without getting lost. Well, it's very simple, but incredibly complex because of its simplicity. So there just has to be a staying still. But what does that mean, staying still? Well, there has to be the discovery of what is still and free inside of you now. So what is still and free right now? That's not something easy to point to because it's not a place that you find. Because the one that thinks it will find it is an abstraction of the mind, and the destination and the place that you think you find is an abstraction of the mind. So stillness, that which is still now, cannot be found. It is. It is. What Nisargadatta Maharaj would say is like to stay in the I am. And the I am is like the gateless gateway back to who you are. So the I am is the initial feeling of being. So I'll break everything down. You've got this feeling of being alive now. This I am. This I am. This feeling of being. I am. And this feeling of being is what's been there the whole life. It was also before birth, but you can't remember that, so it's the same. And it's the feeling of being before it goes, I am good, I am Lisa, I am alive, I am bad, I am right, I am wrong. It's this feeling of being alive. I am. I am. So it's been there when you were 5 years old, when you're 10 years old, when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and before and after. The feeling of being alive. Now, what some teachers say is that the I am is actually still an abstraction. It's still some form of identification with the body, but it's the least identified part in the experience, except the consciousness. And it's a portal to the beingness. which is beyond the I am. And so Nisargadatta, he would say, rest in the I am. Put the personal attention in the feeling of I am. Because the feeling of I am is only here. The thoughts go in time, past and future, and imaginations. But the feeling of I am is here. Is right here. So, yeah, that's what he would recommend. Sometimes people don't know what the feeling of I am is, but just keep looking, keep questioning, who are you? Who are you? You know, it's not the feeling of being good, it's not the feeling of being bad, it's not the feeling of excitement, of joy, of personal love. It is the feeling of love, but impersonal love. That's confusing. But yeah, you just have to accept that, and through apparent time, this seeing will get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you'll understand all these contradictions that teachers have. So let me just talk about what the personal consciousness is. So you've got the feeling of the I am, and then you've got the personal consciousness. The personal consciousness is the ability to move attention. So it's the ability to move attention, and it's that feeling, the ability to move attention. Some people incorporate the personality into the personal consciousness and the sort of feeling of free will, but we'll just keep it at that feeling, that ability to move attention. So it feels like you've got the freedom to move your attention. Ramesh used to say it doesn't feel like you're a marionette where you're suddenly like, boom, boom, attention here and there. It feels like you have the feeling to move the attention. So you can put it on your heart now, you can put it on your toe, and you can put it on your knee, you can put it on me, you can put it on the birds outside. And you can seemingly move it. Actually, when you really go deeply into that, it's like, who moves it? And that feeling of you moving it actually merges into the infinite. It stops being a feeling of you moving it. And it's like life moving it. The divine moving it, she moving it, God moving it, her. And so normally what happens with that personal consciousness is mostly absorbed in thinking and imagining. And for some people also emotions, but for some people not in emotions at all. The emotional body is cut off. Actually, when there's being a lostness also in emotions, that's actually more positive than it just being about thoughts and ideas, because it means that you're more in the body, in contact with the body. Some people manage to just become walking heads and cut off. It's like really disassociate from all types of feelings that happen in the body. But that personal consciousness gets so absorbed in the thoughts and the imagining of you and your life, and in the feelings, and in what's happening for you, that it's never resting on the feeling of I am. And the feeling of I am is what's here right now, what's actually happening. So what Nisargadatta is asking you to do is to bring that personal consciousness back to the feeling of I am, the feeling of being alive. And it's also, in a way of doing that, you're kind of putting the personal consciousness in itself. So, like there's some teachers like Muji, I think, and Papaji that would say, put the attention in the consciousness. So when you rest it in the I am, you are also putting in the consciousness, because you're stopping the personal consciousness just totally being lost in daydream of you. Now you think that you're doing it, but just to go to Roger now, what Roger would say, he would say, this is a description of something that may or may not happen. It's not actually a prescription, because there could never be prescription. That's all in imagination. Life is way more wild and crazy than that. The idea that you are doing is such a lie. Okay, but back to this. So you, like what these teachers are asking you, this is also what Ramana asks as well, and so many other teachers, and Ananda Mahima, but just in a different way, is they're asking you to put the personal consciousness on the feeling of I am. Now these are both personalized. They both have qualities of you in them. There's still identification in them. However, it's like they're less identified than all the thoughts and all the feelings and all the emotions that go on. Like, then they're less identified than the world, actually, than all things. You could call them portals to the absolute. So the absolute consciousness and the absolute I am, which is beingness. Some teachers call it awareness. And you could see these as two different sides. So the absolute consciousness is the emptiness, and the absolute beingness is the love, is the feminine, is the everythingness. So the personal consciousness eventually goes to nothing, and the I am eventually goes to everything, to love. And what Nisargadatta would say is that there's got to be Sat, Chit and Nanda for awakening. And that is, translation is something like consciousness, beingness, Ananda. So when consciousness, big consciousness meets beingness, there is Ananda, there is bliss, there is peace, there is freedom. So that is the goal, to bring these two back into union. And they're actually the masculine and the feminine. It's really beautiful. So the feminine is the Shakti, is the everything, is the love, and the masculine is the emptiness, is the nothingness, is the big consciousness. Nisargadatta, one of his famous quotes is, to know I am everything is love, to know I am nothing is wisdom, and in between life unfolds. And what he means by that is, in between, there's this apparent personal story in which the consciousness is looking through at everything. That you could imagine that the consciousness comes from behind the head and looks in from behind. It's not really behind. And then the beingness is everything in front of the body. And it's like, whoo, they join together, so there's no separation. And then in between, it's like the body-mind mechanism, my life unfolds. So the life of this apparent story unfolds. It's very poetic and romantic. Nisargadatta, when you watch him talk, it doesn't seem like this, but he's really a romantic when he speaks. But when you watch him talk, he seems the opposite. He's sitting there with his beedies, smoking away, and he's quite fiery and like pop, 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 pop. Yeah. So if we go back to what I originally said, is that you've got to be still. It's the union of these two. When these two are in union, that is the stillness. The center point of all experiencing is stillness, is emptiness. It's incredibly simple because it's your nature, it's what's here. Everywhere you go, it is that. There is nothing that can take it away. There's nothing that can give it to you. But it's complicated because of the identification with the body mind and the addiction to thinking and the belief in thoughts. Yeah. So if anyone in Zoom would like to ask a question, you're welcome to put your hand up. You can either write it or you can ask it. And what I'll do is I'll do like one spoken question and one written question. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and I think this will be my last stream at this time for the next coming months. You have to subscribe to the Telegram channel to understand when the streams will be. I will stream, but most on Sundays, but earlier in the day, most probably. Maybe it's something like 11 or 12 European time. And yeah, if you want to come and join for the talks in India, you have to subscribe, yeah, to the Telegram group, and then you'll get information about that. Yeah, I'm not putting it on my website or advertising it like that. Okay. I just put in my audio and then we can start. Uh, okay, Alex, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Alex.
Hey. Um, yeah, so I just had a question around the I am. Yeah, I always love hearing you talk around this topic, the practice of I am. But I've noticed recently that as I've been practicing and working with this for like the past few months, like since my trip to Thailand, it was like a bit of an intention I had was to like really try to keep my attention within the sense I am. But I've noticed that when I do this, there seems to be some type of contraction in doing it within my body. It's almost like I'm holding on, and the sense of existence is there. There's like a bit of a mystery that's quite expansive in one sense of like, oh wow, I'm alive. You know, there's something quite mysterious here. But then it's not very. It's almost like I'm controlling that. Like I'm not necessarily relaxed in that scene, despite there being an awareness of I am existing. I am here.
Mm.
And I'll just add something quickly onto that, which is like I've heard of a teacher's talk over the years, you know, like it's all to do with letting go and surrender and this kind of stuff. And when I practice letting go, there seems to be more of a relaxation, but there's not that sense of like mystery, you know, of aliveness,
Yeah.
of openness, you know, this yeah, I mean I can't describe it basically. So it's like one has this like openness dropping quality, maybe something like what an answer would say, just drop it, just drop it, just drop it.
Mm.
And then one has this like fullness of like, you know, I just wanna this is like right now. Um yeah, I don't know if it makes too much sense what I've just said,
Yeah.
but if anything comes based on that, then I'd be intrigued to know what your thoughts are.
problem with any practice is the evoking of shame. So humans often fundamentally feel that there's something wrong with them and that they're doing something bad or that they're getting life wrong. I mean, it's kind of set up like that in our society. It's like, if you're not happy, if you're not free, if you're not making money, if you're not doing all these things, if you educated yourself well enough, if things are going wrong for you, if you're in poverty, it's all your fault. We kind of got this weird system where we're always blaming everything on the individual. And some kids, they come out of they come into this world and they have a hard time in childhood, and then at the age of 18, they're asked to choose the rest of their life of all the things they got to do. And then if they don't choose wisely, it's their fault, they're bad. It's a weird dynamic we do of shaming, 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 shaming. So then when we introduce any form of practice, and this is the difficulty with practice, and this is why a lot of teachers don't introduce practice, is it can evoke the feeling that you're doing something bad or something wrong, not even with you much noticing it. It can be, you set up this idea of you want to do this when you're in Thailand, and then very subtly this feeling can be in the background in some way you're doing it wrong, and you're then making comparison to what you want it to be like and then what it isn't, and subtly telling yourself you're doing something wrong. This is just a suggestion. I don't know if that's what's happening there, but it's just what's coming. So if you do feel like this contraction is coming up when you're doing it, go and have a look to see what that contraction is saying to you. Like, so find where it is in the body and see if it's saying to you, you failed, because you can never fail. And any comparison that you have, like yesterday I didn't do it and today I did do it, and tomorrow I'm not going to do it, or tomorrow I'm going to do it better, like it's all of this is in this shame game of this bad person, and it's creating these addictive feelings, maybe, of not addictive, maybe that's not right, but this like binge do it, then not do it, binge do it, then not do it. Because I've messed up today, then I haven't done it. It's all in a storytelling, and it's go to see what is at the root of that. The great thing about the teaching of letting go is it's like any thought or feeling that comes up, you're just letting it go, rather than like having an idea of this practice that you're going to do. So if shame comes up, you're noticing, letting go. If the idea of the practice comes up, you're noticing and letting go. So it's got this kind of more subtle flavor to it.
Yeah, I was looking into I can't remember exactly what you just said, but I have been bringing it into the inquiry, like the more um like using statements like, what does this mean? If it could speak, what does it mean about me, type of thing.
Mm.
And almost like this desperation for the release that it brings,
Mm.
you know? So I have a taste of something, like something I've not tasted or experienced or been inside before, and then it leaves so suddenly. So the body is, the contraction is almost saying, I'm
Mm.
desperate, I'm
Mm.
desperate, I'm desperate, I'm desperate to have you, to have this, to
Mm.
have this. I need this. Um,
Mm. So just notice that. That's the more addictive mind, in the sense of, you know, that could be for women, for love, for money. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to shame you and say that that's wrong. I'm just trying to point out, like, that energy of, like, I need this, I need this, I just want this relief.
mhm,
So what eventually, and what most probably does happen, is what you're doing when you're letting go is a form of accepting whatever is appearing. So a form of accepting that desperation, that energy that just wants release from it, from the
mhm,
discomfort. So this kind of ability to be able to hold that energy that just wants to reach for something else.
mhm. I'm just trying to like feel into it and the experience of this and bringing it into, yeah, I guess as you say, like this relational context, how am I relating to
Mm.
I am, to sense I am? And I'm just seeing that the more inside kind of I go, the more I can feel into this, the more feeling is there as well. The more addiction, the more shame, the more fear. I've talked about fear a lot in
Mm.
previous sessions, and that's certainly been experienced, that there is a lot more feeling content. Because I notice when I do body work, as you know, I do bioenergetics, and when I practice bioenergetics, it just seems to reveal itself so effortlessly and open. Like
Mm.
I'm not doing a practice. Um, I'm not even looking. Well, I am practicing bioenergetics, but I'm not looking to have some big wild experience of I am
Mm.
this, I am that. Um, but when I sit down, like even now, I can really sense like I amness here. But there is, because it's in a relational context. Obviously, there's people watching on Zoom. We're talking. It's like there's a lot of contraction and holding and trying to, like, it almost feels out of my control. Uh,
Mm.
this contracting and addiction, and I'm doing it better when I'm practicing, and making these stories out of it basically.
Mm.
Um, but I just feel also as well, it's just a case of just keep going, just keep
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah. And
just
noticing. Yeah.
yeah, just noticing and checking in. Yeah.
Yeah. And in all of that discomfort, so when it comes up, there is a freedom there. Why it's so uncomfortable is that the personal consciousness is focused on the uncomfortableness. So in that experience, there is a freedom there. There is a deep relaxation there because it's in everything. It's just that the personal consciousness is very zoomed in on the discomfort. So you've got to feel it. So it's not about rejecting the feelings, but also it's the detachment from the feelings as well. It's very subtle, that.
Mm. Just something else that's come in. I'll just share it briefly, which is it's not totally on track with what we was just saying, but it's relevant to the I am in the sense that when I can feel it subtly and it's only part of my experience, there's this constant mind activity that feels like it should be doing something, like I should be inquiring, like netty, like not this, not that. And I was reading in I Am That, Maharaj talks about feeling into the I am and seeing what appears is the inquiry in itself to see that you are not that which you are looking at, basically. But I seem to have a really difficult time in doing that. It seems to be like I am Alex doing this project, this search, this seeking. And it kind of sometimes just feels to me like the I am is not enough, which seems a bit weird to say, but it's like feeling opening into the I amness. Is it really enough to like sever the link between identification with thought with Alex and I'm kind of like trying to figure the process out, like how does it happen?
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm not asking you that necessarily, it's just more of an
Mm.
activity that does come in for me quite a lot.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe I am looking for reassurance. I want you to say, like, Alex, it is enough. It is enough to just stare at the I am all day. Just keep going. Um, yeah, it's both. It's like
Oh, it
I know.
absolutely, it absolutely is uh, uh, um, enough. It's
Mm,
just about. It's more about intention. whether there's really the desire to die or to carry on living as a person. So
Mm.
that is enough. But if there is still interest in the sparkly jewels of this life, then the attention will keep going towards that. You can't suppress it. So, some teachers talk about, going and exploring all those jewels until you realize that they contain nothing. Like there's that really, Hermann Hesse, he wrote the book Siddhartha, and it was made into a film, Siddhartha.
Mm.
I don't know if it's the same as the book, I can't remember, but I just remember in the film, like, he has to go and spend like 20 years in the city and like exploring like different pleasures before he goes back to the boatman. That sounds really random. The boatman represents, like freedom,
Mm-hmm.
stillness. So he crosses, he meets the boatman. So he sort of like has the awakening, and then he crosses the lake with the boatman, and then the boatman I think invites him to stay, but he refuses, and then goes to the city, and then 20 years later goes back. But it's almost like he had to explore those things to see they're not true.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Nisargadatta Maharaj would say, you get reborn because of desire. And what he means by that is like because of seeking, because there's still interest in the dream. It's all a very impersonal thing though. And it's not that someone's bad if there's still interest in the dream or anything. It's just that there is still interest. So that's the most important thing. So the attention will stay on the I am when it's really ready to die,
Mm-hmm.
when it's ripe.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel that there is um, a ripeness there, Alex. Like when we speak, I can feel this stillness that comes about over you very easily.
Mm.
That
Yeah,
might
I
put a
always
bit
feel like
of that might put a bit of pressure on things, but when you're not like thinking about it, the stillness comes over.
no, I was just like feeling into the interactions that I have with you and thinking it's a lot like taking mushrooms. It's just like I'm tripping, Like one minute, like my body's here and I'm sat in a room and we're on a Zoom call, and then the next minute there's just nothing. Um,
Yeah,
I can't even see anything, and that's it.
yeah.
I think when we met like a year ago, I really was in this desperate place of exhausting so much in my life, like business, money, relationships, and just coming to see that they couldn't really offer me what it is that I seem to be looking for, and just feeling the crushing reality or the crushing knowing or fact that there's nothing out here that is really going to satisfy me, and I have nowhere else to look at that time. Like a year ago, I have nowhere else to look. And then the teaching, I am, look there, has really started to be the source of where I'm looking.
Mm.
It's what I look to. And I find myself, I mean, I could just leave it there. I find myself, but
Yeah, I find myself
mic drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Good to see you. Sad
Yeah.
about not being in India.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, have a good one.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Okay, so we go to a written question now. So you can either write it uh in the chat, or you can put it in the Telegram group, whichever one suits you. Nisargadatta's guru was Sri Maharshi. Yes. Anyone want to go live and say that name? Thank you for sharing. Okay. See you in Telegram. Okay, so we got people with their hands up. Yeah, James, you can unmute yourself.
There we go. So I just lights on.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We got a bit of an echo though.
How do I get rid of that?
Maybe you've just got rid of it.
By talking.
Yeah.
Where are we at? The sense of I am appears to be causing more separation from with people, I think. And I suppose there's a sense of it would be the opposite, that it would be a coming together. Because there's a real sense of clear expression from with authority, in the sense of truth, and there's nothing to say really, but there's a sense to want to say something. Um,
Mm.
and it's like there's no one to say it to, and I am feels void of any help,
Mm.
insights maybe, or anything really.
Totally. I totally
And in
understand that.
some way that's okay. It's only the feeling of, it's almost like I feel like a painter that wants to paint but isn't very good, or a singer that's tone deaf, or it's like I can't find a voice that's I know is authentic and therefore worth sharing. And there's not, it's because you were talking about shame. So there isn't. It's not that there's not that I sense uh, an emotion that's stopping me from doing it. It's just that there's nothing. Um, and there's been periods where it feels quite selfish, um, and it's sort of a sense of resting in the I am is a little bit like turning my back on things that emerge, um, and people, and that's kind of I don't know what it is, but it's just something that I observe.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there's doesn't seem to be any sort of when I hear myself say it, I always find it interesting that the things that you think about when you say the things you think about, they somehow, I still don't understand why they sound different when you hear them, but I'm guessing there's a longing, looking for something, but there's also an acknowledgement that I'm not looking for anything.
Mm.
Um, I suppose what it is that I don't know where to trust in it. And that, yeah, but I suppose that's at the heart, maybe at the heart of it a little bit.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, thanks for sharing, James. Really, yeah, I really appreciate your honesty, your openness, and your
it doesn't feel like I shared any, it doesn't feel like I've shared anything.
mm, What does it feel like in your throat now?
You know, like the old days when the TVs used to get turned off and it's like that staticky. Gentle sort of,
Sorry?
that gentle sort of, was it white? They know what they used to call it, something like the black and white
White,
tiny squares. White noise, is it?
white noise, yeah. And what does it feel like in your solar plexus, just below your... Maybe you know where the solar plexus is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, below there, yeah.
A voidish, open, black hole-esque, sort of wormholey.
And is that positive or negative?
Space is it's wondrous. Uh, homely. Known. I think that's why it felt homely. It feels known a little bit. Maybe at the heart of things.
What does it feel like in your heart?
I can't differentiate that space to the solar plexus. I can't. I can't sense a difference.
And what does it feel like behind the eyes and sort of in the third eye?
Sort of pressure.
Mm.
The first word that came was sand for some reason. But a pyramid sort of feels. I'm quite. I don't know. I'm visual, so
Hmm. I don't want to say what I want to say to you in front of other people. So if just put on Telegram, hello, in the chat group, then I will send you a message in Telegram later this evening.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. It's not bad. It's not done something wrong, but I just
No,
want to do it privacy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay for sharing in front. If you think it's because of me, then I'll give anything to this. So don't think it's not on my behalf, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I would prefer to do it privately.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so just make yourself known because I won't find you otherwise. So in the question group, just put hello so I can find your Telegram.
I will. Thank you.
No. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Okay, Chris. I just checked to see if there's any questions. Just lots of people saying they have to go. Pablo, if I am is still an abstraction and eventually merges, can we bypass the I am and go directly to beingness or big consciousness? So I'm just going to pin you, Pablo, so I can answer it to you. There can be so many different forms of awakening. So yeah. It's just one form of teaching. You know, Ananda Mahima, like I love her teaching. She's more bhakti. So she wouldn't speak about really putting the attention in the I am, but what she would say is bring God close to you in every moment. And yeah, what does that mean? You know, it's like all these teachings and all these different meanings. But yeah, of course, there can just be a cut where there's no practicing of the I am, but then there's resting in self. Yeah. There's so many apparent paths to this, like millions and millions. And in the end, there's no individual doer, so there's nobody doing it. There's no one person doing it. I know her teachings are so divinely beautiful. You know, she would teach in different ways, but it's like the path of love. She would say things like, you know, when you do the washing up or when you do the cooking, you know, do it for me, or do it for your mother. She would often call herself the mother, and she'd sometimes say for the daughter. And basically, she's meaning the impersonal mother or the impersonal. She's like, do it all for God. But on the path of bhakti, you often have to personalize God at first. So people would hear that and they would personalize as if they're doing it for Ananda Mahima. But then eventually you go beyond Ananda Mahima's figure or Ramana Maharshi's figure, and you're just doing it for the divine. It's so beautiful. Like do the washing up for Ananda Mahima, do the cleaning for Ananda Mahima, do the bhajans for Ananda Mahima. And then eventually it stops being her form, her figure, and you're doing it for the divine. And then there's eventually nobody doing it for the divine, there's just the divine acting. So, you know, there's all these different paths to this. And each path is always like, well, mine is superior. And then they always have like, well, this is what's bad about this path and this is what's bad about that path. And that's important because that helps you distinguish what can work and what doesn't work. But it also can go into the heart of arrogance. You know, there is no better path. There is the path that is presented. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your question, Pablo. Okay, Chris, you can unmute yourself. Hello.
I have a question, maybe slash, it might sound like I'm asking for advice, but I really am just looking to listen to some wisdom beyond myself about a life decision that's kind of big. Is that can I do that?
Yeah, I don't know if I will necessarily comment on that though, but you can try. You can present everything.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, another really beautiful
Okay.
thing that Ananda Mahima taught. So Ananda Mahima is, you could say, the path of bhakti, and you could say that Nisargadatta Maharaj is the path of wisdom. Neither is right or wrong. Um, but but from the path of bhakti, you know, and the path of guru, which is the way that Ananda Mahima taught, she would say, you know, give everything to me, give every decision to me, give every problem to me.
I'm getting free you're freezing up on my side, but that might be me.
It is you because you're freezing up too. I mean, yeah, it could be
Okay.
me. Yeah, that's so funny, isn't it? It could be me, but I think it's you. You could try.
Okay.
You
I'm
could
in the
try. You could try turning your video off. That might make it better.
Okay, should I do that? Stop video?
Hmm.
Okay, how's that? Is that
Yeah,
better?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, I can hear you. I was gonna say one thing, but this reminds me of that you're talking about different paths, bhakti, and I just listened to the audiobook called The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence.
Yeah,
And he was a complete, a Christian monk, and he made his practice to do everything he did. This you could read it. It's a pretty short book, to the glory of God, like whether he
yeah,
was cutting potatoes or buying wine or yeah.
yeah,
And it's really helpful to hear these different saints and Ananda Mani Mai. Um, but anyway, so here's my path, and maybe I can have to get some help. I've been in the desert for about 2 years now, and I've been practicing pretty consistently, pretty regularly because I don't have a job, and I believe I was put out here to do this, to practice very diligently awakening and practice presence. And so I've held on to what's been given to me and practiced it a lot. And I feel very very open, and I feel like I've been like the concrete was laid at least on the path. I think there still needs to be asphalt on top of it and whatnot. I still have it seems like a ways to go in the body, but my question is, I have a person in my life who I'm very fond of, and I want to try to make a go of it with them. And yet I love this life that I have. I have just days of joy and open, present, ecstatic joy, but I'm not really living in the world right now. I'm living in my car, but I'm free and I am in nature a lot. And I have a question about whether I want to leave this world, this life that I'm doing right now, to go be with that person. And they want to be committed too. It would be a commitment, and to kind of go back into the city where they live. So it's a relationship. So it's a personal, you know, issue. So I guess What would you do? I mean, this is such a beautiful life, and I wouldn't want to live it. I know why. I can feel why sages want to live in, a cave and just stay in. No, there's no problems, but I don't feel like I'm growing really in terms of really being what I'm supposed to be as a human. But my spirit being is growing kind of a lot. I can say it that way. I'm realizing it. So I want the joy of a relationship, but I also don't know. Maybe I should do this another 2 years, but if I do, then I'm going to possibly lose them. And I don't want to lose that. How will I know that this is what I'm supposed to do, what the decision is supposed to be? Will it be clear? I mean, I feel like the absolute put me here. And so will it also be as clear that I'm supposed to move away and move into another phase? How do you know when to move into a different phase? Okay, that's it.
You have to just keep giving everything to God, even that question.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, see if there's any written questions. Ramona says, "Oh, I love that. Bring God close to you in every moment, sweet." And then Ramona says, "Is that your way of making me do your dishes? Making me do my dishes for you?" Jokes. And Peter says, "I read that one too." Okay. And yeah, I don't think there's any questions. So, Tristano, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, Tristano.
Every question that comes in my head like vanishes.
That's the interesting bit, the place where it vanishes to. Like, where do the questions come from and where do they disappear back into? And that's the freedom. Like, where is all of this coming from and disappearing? Who is speaking now and who is hearing?
So like unified.
That's totally unified. How could, like, when you really become present, how can there be any difference between the words that have been spoken and the listener? They're totally unified. It's only in imagination that those separate out, but when you're right here, there is no separation. So that means everything that comes into experience is you, is the divine, is the beingness, is the alive presence. Nothing which isn't that.
It almost feels like there's just like a few patterns left. And like they're very obviously coming in and out. I almost like see the ego trying to form itself, and then it's like, oh no, 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 not there.
You just have to give it all over to her. You can't keep anything for yourself. You have to give it to her. Everything.
I had these pains like most of my life that seem to only go away when there's like zero uh, holding on.
Mm.
It's like the pain itself is me trying to hold on to something, but
Mm.
the pain is the holding on, so it doesn't make any sense.
Pain and pleasure are phenomena that arise in the appearance. They become solid when there's holding on to them. When there's no holding on to them, then in a way they disappear. There is simply emptiness, appearing as fullness, and there really isn't pain and pleasure. It could be talked about. You could say, I'm having a pleasurable experience enjoying this apple or something, but it's kind of like it's all empty. There's nothing that owns it or has it. And that is the true freedom. That is the end of suffering. The pain in which we know and think about is suffering. People don't really know true pain or true pleasure. They know the attachment. True pain and pleasure is in a way invisible. It's here and not here. It's happening and not happening. Like, where is pain without you? Where is pleasure without you? What is that without you?
It almost feels like this mild hesitation of like, checking what's behind you or something.
Like fear kind of thing, like checking to see if there's a tiger coming.
Yeah, like this really mild hesitation of like not letting go of the self,
Yeah.
even though that's like the only thing I want. But
Do
it's like
you
this like little.
do you not trust her? Isn't she the most trustworthy thing there is? To give everything to her?
It feels almost more like someone else is afraid of letting go of me. Feels like I want to let go, but someone else doesn't.
It's amazing
I know it's
how,
the same. Sorry.
yeah, but it's amazing all these divisions, the way the mind divides up. Look, because like also I was listening to something somebody said somewhere sometime, and they were saying like that they now think that maybe thoughts aren't inside of the body, that there's something that we're plugging into. We're plugging into, like, it's out here, the thoughts.
Like the Matrix or something like that.
Or have you ever seen that film Lucy?
Uh, I think I watched the anime that it was based on. Is it the one with like the girl who like has psychic powers and she like escapes no?
It's the one where she takes like an insane amount of some drug, and it like
Oh,
opens
different
up
Lucy. Okay.
it opens up all her brain, and then there's this like moment in it where um you see her downloading information from her environment. It's so cool. I mean, it's also a really violent film, but that bit's really cool, and it's really cool watching her remembering evolution. Like she remembered the whole of evolution. It's really amazing. So, like, yeah, I was listening to this talk somewhere where they were saying that, like, I mean, scientists can't find thoughts. They don't know where thoughts happen. And that's really weird because we think it happens in the brain, but they can't actually find it. And this is like something that I have with the way in which they treat mental illness is that, you go to psychiatrists and they're like looking at the way you think or the way you behave or something like a schizophrenic. And they're treating a schizophrenic with all this medication because of this thinking that's happening and these delusions that are happening seemingly through thoughts, but they don't even know where thoughts are. So in the end, predominantly what they're doing is sedating. And it's not that I'm not against medication, when somebody is in such a bad way, like that can actually be a kindness. Like I'm not against it, but it's like in our society, we're so upside down. Like we have such respect for psychiatrists, and that's valid to some extent, but they're not telling you front up, okay, I'm a psychiatrist and here is everything I know, but let me just tell you, everything that I know is based on the idea that thoughts are in the head, but actually we don't know where thoughts are. So maybe we need to treat the whole environment, like give the whole environment like a pill in order to save you, not you. I mean, and this is like what I dislike about mental illness. We're always like blaming the individual where there is an individual. But to
I
say if
find
the,
science has become, oh, sorry.
no, you can speak.
I was gonna say I find that science has become like the egoic version of mathematics, whereas like math inherently doesn't limit itself, but science does and tries to like prove everything based on some limitation.
Yeah,
Like even Einstein tried to do that
yeah,
and failed, but
totally.
but yeah, but math doesn't do that. Math is like, I don't know, here's some rules and here's what
Yeah.
happens with those rules. Like science is a kind of a miserable failure right now, I find.
And we can do interesting things by putting limitations on things. So it's the same with our speech. Like by putting a limitation, we can explore things. But the ignorance of it is like that science is some sort of thing that is correct. You know, it's like you get people that say, well, I believe more in science, where it's like they've put rules on things and they're investigated, and they're always getting to the point where they're like, oh, this doesn't quite make sense. Like, we can't quite explain that. So it's quite bonkers.
It's like obviously everything appears as awareness. It's like blatantly obvious. There's no, when you just accept the fact, you're like, oh yeah. Instead of having to try to reduce everything down to like um, subatomic particles or some kind of probabilistic distribution or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like first it was atoms, and then it's like, oh, it's probabilities, and now it's like it's infinite geometries, and it keeps going down and down. It's like, why not just accept the fact that it's consciousness and then go up? Because that's what you're doing anyways.
Yes, I can't remember why we started that, but it was something about thoughts being outside. That thoughts are maybe outside, or we can't find it. Yeah. There was some comment that you made. I don't know if you can remember the comment. Doesn't really matter though.
I find that I have the experience sometimes of like, no, wait, what am I trying to say? Usually when you speak to people, they're really focused on you, like trying to contract you, and like you're not doing that. So it's like uh it's like mildly destabilizing because it comes from the self directly, whereas so habitual like talking to people who are like trying to figure you out instead of just being.
Yeah, and trying to make you something.
Yeah,
No,
which
so
is just
it's
what they're saying.
that's so insanely beautiful. Like to, you know, how like we were just saying, like the problem with science is it constrains. You know, it has to start with a point in order to then do its experiments. And it's so insanely beautiful that the goal of this is to start without any constraint. So you communicate without any constraint on either of us.
Yeah, it's like why would you want it any other way?
Yeah. It's such love, but
Yeah.
it requires like to, let go of all control, let go of all boundary to, in a way, step into madness, but divine madness. To not have any boundary on anything.
It seems like because this contradicts it's sort of there's this experience that contradicts no, it doesn't contradict it, but it feels like when you have more than one human mind, the capacity to express love is far greater than when you're alone. But it feels like that contradicts the notion that it's all just love coming from awareness. But it maybe the limitation of the human mind is kind of partially that.
When you're with others and others are in freedom too, then you're all going to mirror each other. So it is going to seem more um, more pronounced in a way, because you're mirroring back each other's emptiness, or you're mirroring back each
It
other's
feels like
love.
there's more space. Like it feels like this doesn't happen when I'm alone.
Mm.
I feel like if you add like the more people, I don't know. That's why it feels like when I say that, it feels wrong because now I'm like admitting that there's another person. But then on the other hand, my experience is that, like if you're singing alone in the shower, y- it feels okay. But if when we were singing all together, it was like, and I can kind of imagine if we were like 50 people in the same room, like if you play music together, it's very different from playing music alone. Like if you're playing in a band,
Yeah,
but
I get
it
that.
it
What you're saying is true and not true. So it's not true because consciousness is everywhere, but in this apparent dream, consciousness is waking up to experience itself as limitation. So it's what it wants is to be awake and to experience itself as something else. So there's never more consciousness, no matter how many people are in the room. But consciousness is splitting itself off into apparent 20 people, say, and then it's experiencing apparently through those 20 people. And then if all of those 20 people are awake, they're all recognizing themselves as that and as this apparent limited world as well. So it is really something beautiful, like satsang, meeting in being, meeting in truth. So what you say is true and not true because there is the same amount of consciousness everywhere you go, but there is something uniquely beautiful about meeting in being, satsang. I mean, some people, especially like the romantic poets, say that that's the whole purpose of this, for life to meet itself. Because when you're just at home without manifestation, you're just at home. You can't experience yourself as anything else. So you're just pure being. But in this, you're pure being, but you're getting to look at yourself as pure being manifested. So it's like this added love affair that you're having.
it's hard to explore though, because or not nobody, but most people are so contracted.
Yeah.
Um, you try and like, I mean, some people go as far as if you try to love them, they'll just, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's hard to explore the like expansion between human minds.
Yeah.
It feels like almost to be able to express more love through the human mind, you need more people, but only through the human mind, only while the human mind is being created,
Mm.
or even when there's like a reduction in experience. Like if there's only feelings, then it doesn't feel like you need another human. But when the whole experience is there, it's like modern humanity is so disharmonious. It's like it's agonizing. It feels like you want to do something about it, but then
Every time there is resting in self, being yourself, you are doing something about it. This is absolute compassion. This is absolute, it's burning a hole in the fabric of this reality. And under Mahima, she was like a portal to this, you know. People would go close to her and they would just be totally consumed in stillness. Just now, like, even though she's been apparently dead for 40 years, people just think of her and that happens. Just see an image of her and that happens. So every time there is resting in self, you're doing the ultimate compassion for this dream. You're burning a hole in this illusion.
So it feels like I rest and then I want to die, and then uh, yet it kind of wants to fix like the human condition.
Mm,
It feels like it's possible, like for humans to actually live in harmony.
mm-hmm. But not through action, through inaction.
Yeah, like from a non place of non-action.
Mm,
I've heard you speak on like the notion that the male and the female awakening is like the male is emptiness and the female is love.
mm,
I didn't understand it, and it it feels that way in my experience. It feels like my awakening is very empty, and so it's full of whatever's there, which tends to be very painful.
mm,
Like there tends to be like a huge lack of love in
mm.
general.
Yeah, so
And
eventually
that
you have to incorporate the male and the female. So everybody has both inside. So most probably why you're interested in coming and speaking to me is because you can see the feminine in me, the Shakti, the love. And at the moment, maybe you see it outside a little bit, but eventually you'll bring that into you. The feminine is the tantric side, it is the bhakti side.
want to harm me. It's like they want to hurt outside. I know that's because of the hurt they have on the inside, but like they're sort of um, stuck.
Mm,
Like I think at least in my experience, there are some people who cannot awaken, even if you completely love them. They're just like they're trapped, at least in this life, if incarnation is a thing.
mm. It's not your job to fix or save them in any way. That will burn you out. It's your job to love them without moving. Even when they have hate or rage or dislike, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily around them. I'm not speaking about you putting yourself in unhealthy situations. I'm saying it's an internal way of being, absolute acceptance of whatever they are. It's not you accepting, it's you rest in self, and then that is allowed to appear. And it's the same with the physical pain. It's like you experience it and don't experience it. It's there and not there. So as soon as it's appeared, it's disappeared like a firework in the sky. Because that's not them, the hatred or anger. It's just appearing as a light show and then it's gone.
Yeah, there's such a strong desire to want to love everything all the time. And it's almost as if you have to learn that like certain experiences need to kind of be at least partially blocked out. Otherwise, it kind of the there's a strain to it. And then you kind of try everything and you realize at some point that it's like this needs to be, I guess that's where the boundary is then formed. And then you have to sort of respect the boundary.
Totally.
Even if you want to love, you have to respect the boundary. And then even if they don't respect the boundary, you just, I guess the confusion is confusion that like the physical is somehow real where it's not. So it doesn't matter if you remove yourself physically from a situation, you can still love, but then physically remove yourself entirely, even prevent more interaction if it's needed, if they're
Yeah,
abusive
totally.
or
Yeah, and then but you totally love them. But yeah, boundaries.
yeah,
Often we don't have boundaries because there's old stories playing.
yeah, yeah.
Boundaries are so needed with
It's like
humans. Mm,
the habits that were formed before is like takes over, and they try and hold on to those patterns, but actually those patterns are like really unconscious pain.
mm,
It's frightening in a way though, because then you feel like you're kind of leaving everything, but like you know you're supposed to do that.
yeah.
It's almost like I did all the hard stuff first. I left all the hard stuff first, and now it's like the more superficial layers.
Mm,
It's like a um I love you and I don't need you kind of a thing,
mm,
which most people don't want to hear with I love you.
mm,
But that's at least that's in my experience, true love is like if you really love something or everything, then you have to equally love being able to let go of them. You've held on to them your entire life. You have to be able to like cut the, umbilical cord
mm.
entirely. I think being alone all the time makes it really difficult because you have like zero reference point other than yourself, which is everything. So it's kind of like there's such a strong desire to want everything to be better because it so obviously could be. It's almost more obvious now with like the total destruction that's occurring in the world. We assume that it exists.
But that's
It
the
like
that
pinpoint.
that is the seeking. That is the very core of the seeking patterns. Is the idea that you you can make things better and you can achieve that. That is your job, and it just will never work out. It's like you can't stop destruction appearing or death appearing or trauma appearing. You can't stop that in this world where everything is transforming from one thing to another, to one thing to another. So there has to be complete surrender and finding that within and letting it all go. Letting it all go. Like in sleep, do you mind about the problems in this world?
No, sleep's great.
So sleep is happening right now as well. And it's like you have to let it all go into that emptiness of sleep. That emptiness that we are. It's like you imagine like we're this black sky and then there's this fireworks going off. And you're trying to fix the fireworks, but it's impossible. They keep firing up and you can't fix them because you can never really get hold of them because they don't really exist. So you have to find that black sky. You have to rest as that black sky. As you do that, then the fireworks become you. Like they stop separating out and you become all of it. The whole dance, the whole light show. And then this is where the radical change happens. This is where everything becomes free. So in
I
this,
used to have this
in this experience now, there is like this total emptiness that's happening.
I used to have this experience when I was younger where I would play music for other people, and I never felt like I was playing for somebody else, even if you're like playing like with an audience. And it feels like what I'm creating now, the intention was to help, but ultimately what I actually want is to just enjoy doing it.
Mm,
Because I never enjoyed playing music when I was younger. I didn't want to practice or like play anything.
mm,
Sometimes I feel like making music is the only worthwhile human experience. It sounds ridiculous when I say it, but I don't know. It feels like so true in my heart.
nice. Thank you, Tristina.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Your pleasure. Yeah, so Martin T, I think that it's the end of the session now. Let me just check what the time is. What time did I start? 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's the end of the session now. Yeah, so sorry. Next time.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, this is the last stream, so maybe I'll do one during the week, you know, like a private one. But if not, then it'll be the last for a while. Yeah. I mean, I will stream, but I just won't see the Zoom people like this. It'll just be stream talks in India. Yeah. Okay, I'll just say goodbye to everybody on YouTube. And if you're in Zoom, then you can stay in Zoom and yeah, just we'll say goodbye to everybody. Okay, so for those in YouTube. Oh. Yeah, so for those in YouTube, yeah, sorry, I'm just struggling to find the settings. There we go. Yeah, I really, really wish you everything. Yeah, not one thing or two things or three things, but every God bless thing. Yeah. Bye for now.